All right, so section 2.3 is the product and quotient rules. These are rules, these are problems where our functions or our function that we're given, the problem that we're getting, we're either multiplying two things together or we're dividing two things together. In this recording, I'm going to concentrate on the product rule. So the product rule is as stated, f of x equals the multiplication between g and h. The first derivative then is the first function times the derivative of the second plus the second times the derivative of the first. Calculus is all about proofs and reasons why we have rules or why we have these things we have to follow. Some of the proofs are pretty easy to do and I choose to do them. Other proofs, kind of like this one, can get pretty confusing, but yet it's still pretty important. So on page 218 is the proof for the product rule. Take a look at it. It's interesting, but it explains why things are the way they are. So for our problems now, I want you to find the derivative. So for number one, you have h of x equals the quantity of 3x minus 2x squared, and you're multiplying that by 5 plus 4x. There are two different ways you could do this particular problem. You can multiply it out, FOIL it out like we did last week, and then take your derivative, or you can start by using the product rule, which is how I'm going to show you here first. So the first derivative is the first equation, 3x minus 2x squared, and I'm going to multiply it by the derivative of 5 plus 4x, which is 4. Then I'm going to take 5 plus 4x, and I'm going to multiply it by the derivative of this, and that's 3 minus 4x. Then we go ahead and distribute our 4 through, and we FOIL out 5 plus 4x times 3 minus 4x. And when you FOIL that out, you get 15 minus 8x minus 16x squared. That set of parentheses really doesn't mean anything, so I'm just going to rewrite it again by dropping it. This should be an 8x. And then I'm going to combine my like terms together. And that gives me a negative 24x squared, a 4x, and a 15. And that's our first derivative. That's by using the product rule. Just to double check, to use what we've done before, h of x equals 3x times 2x squared times 5 plus 4x. What I had you do before was distribute through, so that'd be 15x, 3x, and 4x is 12x squared, negative 10x squared, and a minus 8x cubed. And then we can combine that, and that's not prime. So what's that? 15x plus 2x squared minus 8x cubed. Now when I take the derivative using the power rule, we get 15 plus 4x minus 24x squared, which is this and that. So two different ways you could have done that problem. So another example, could be Let's do y equals 3x squared times sine of x. So in this one, what you should notice is that you're multiplying between that 3x squared and your sine. So 3x squared is one function, and sine is your other. So for this one, your first derivative is equal to your first function, 3x squared, times your derivative of sine, which we know now is cosine, plus the second function, sine, times that by the derivative of your first, which is 6x. So my first derivative here would be 3x squared cosine x plus 6x sine of x. And we like to factor in calc. Eventually what you're going to be doing is setting all of these equations equal to 0. So getting it into factored form would make it equal, or solving for 0 so much easier. So we tend to like to factor in our class now. So there's your first derivative. So another example could be y equaling 2x cosine minus 2 sine. So in this one, I see their product rule because I'm multiplying between that 2x and that cosine. So I see one as being 2x and the other function is being cosine. So there's your product rule. And over here, it's just your straight power rule. So for our first derivative here, I can do my first term of 2x times it by the derivative of cosine, which is negative sine, plus my second term cosine times the derivative of the first, 2. I have a minus, so now I'm at a minus 2, and the derivative of sine is just cosine. Okay, so you can see now we have negative 2x sine of x plus 2 cosine of x minus 2 cosine of x. And we can see how these are going to cancel out. So our first derivative is negative 2x sine of x. All right, there's your product rule. Let me know if you guys have questions. Good luck.